Okay, copper Telecaster part 2. If you missed part 1, we made these top and back like this one. Where's the top? It's over there. We made a top and back like this one in part 1, and we got the edge bent all over, and we're ready to solder it together. So now what we need to do is solder on the sides and work out this neck pocket. Now, I don't know if you recall, but we bent over the sides all the way around this outside edge. Well, ideally the side would come in underneath this part and not on the outside of this part for some support and some structure in there. And I have some ideas on how we're going to build this neck pocket to support it real well. And I think we're going to work that out right now in this episode. So you'll see all that coming. But for now, just know that I've cut off this lip right here in this little section because the side's going to turn in and go underneath right there and not be on the outside of that shape. It needs to fit just a standard fender style heel and size and shape. So I don't want it to have any sort of funky neck on it. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to try and bend a test side right now and see how hard it is for me to bend this shape and get these sides all perfectly sized and fitting. And if I can get that to work, I'm going to move on to the real thing and I'll just bend all of the sides and we'll start soldering them in. And when we solder them in, I think I'm just going to start at the bottom here and I'll work my way around. I'll probably stop somewhere in here and stop somewhere in here until I get everything all ready to tie together, and then we'll solder all that together and lock it in. So right now, let's just get started on making this test piece that I bend around here and just make sure I like how that fits on the top and that the neck pocket's going to work out good and the neck's going to fit in there well and everything's good. So here we go. Let's get through the test. Okay, my proof of concept is good enough that I'm ready to just bend some real sides. So this is going to be what the sides look like. The neck pocket piece is going to sit in the middle there like that. So the way this works now is when this curve comes around the horn, it's going to actually go up against the side where I've trimmed off the little edge, which you can see right here. I've trimmed off that edge. So that side is going to come up into here and just go up and meet right in there. And I'll have some reinforcement and stuff in there to make that work good. And then since the top one is cut down, anyway, you'll see. So I'm going to cut the actual side strips now. So I have this strip here that if I cut exactly in half, will give me a 1 5/8 inch deep telly. Actually, it'll be a little more than that because this roundover part will stick up just a hair. So I should end up right about 1 3/4. Let's rip this thing in half. That's going to take me forever. I think I'd rather have scratches than that mess. Okay, the sides are bent reasonably well. They're not perfect yet, but they're awful close. I'll have to do quite a bit of clamping up here at the neck pocket to get it perfect, but honestly, I mean, it came together really, really nice. All right, I think we can probably solder in this side and then we'll start working on the neck pocket. I got a lot of work to do up here. You can see I haven't trimmed this to where they meet in the middle yet or any of that. So there's still a bunch to do before I have it all totally perfect, but man, I'm getting close here. Okay, that side soldered on there extremely well. If you guys haven't watched any of the Resonator series, I did a ton of testing on solder types and flux types and the mixing and matching of the different solders and different fluxes and on different materials and different metals. After doing all of that testing, I tested it on mild steel, I tested it on brass, I tested it on copper. You have to use something different on stainless, so this stuff doesn't work on stainless. It turns out what seems to be really working well for me is this Rector Seal regular paste flux. It's nothing special. You get it at the hardware store anywhere. I've soldered little tiny pieces of mild steel, copper, and brass together and put them in the vise and done everything I can to get them apart. One of the videos you'll see me, I'm moving this entire downdraft table, and this thing's actually really heavy because it's got motors and fans and all kinds of stuff in it. I'm moving that whole table trying to get those two pieces apart, and I just can't do it. So there's no question in my mind that this stuff is crazy strong. The copper reacted the same as the brass and the same as the mild steel as far as the flux and the solder goes. So I'm feeling really good about how this thing is together and its longevity. No worries there. Okay, the side went on great. I actually soldered up further around than I said I was going to in the beginning because it was just going really well. And I knew I had enough room there to get the neck pocket all together. One thing you got to be kind of careful about when you're soldering these together is once you solder it together, if you go back and you reheat to solder something else really close to where you've already soldered, you'll see that solder joint is going to want to expand and do weird things. So you got to just be cautious of how much heat you're putting near a joint that you've already soldered. As long as you're aware that you kind of need to clamp, you just got to be aware. You got to know you can't reheat a solder joint to the point where it wants to come apart. Okay, what's next? Oh, I'm ready to cut the neck pocket hole in this thing, which is a little bit, it's not scary. I don't want to say scary, but this is pretty critical, right? If we get this wrong, it's game over for this body and we got to start again. So it's pretty critical that we get this thing all centered right. It matches the center line. The size of it matches a fender heel. Everything's got to be really dialed in there. So I'm going to just do a ton of measuring and spend a bunch of time getting that perfect. I'll probably spare you all that and you'll just see me jump right now to cutting it out. I hope that's what you see. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Oh, heck yeah. That's beautiful. Okay. Well, that was a complicated little guy. That little dude was hard to make, so he's just going to get soldered in there. Okay, this is going super well. The neck pocket, you can see I've got it all soldered in there now. The neck fits in there really well. You're probably wondering how tight is the neck pocket? Well, there you have it. It's pretty darn tight. That's good. Okay, so what we need to do now is make a little plate that the neck sits on. and solder that in and solder some reinforcement so that when you screw the screws into the neck, it doesn't bend the back, doesn't pull the back in a bunch. So you'll see how I'm going to do that. And then I think this neck pocket's, it's pretty well conquered. Okay. Okay, this neck pocket is really nice right now. I'm super excited about how that came out and how the neck fits in there and how strong this is. That just all came together great. Really happy. Okay, one thing I did on the back here, you can see I've got some reinforcement right here so that when the back sits on, it'll sit against this a little bit more. And then I've got these copper tubes in here, soldered into here, so that when you put the neck screws through the back and screw on your neck, then the back will bottom out on these copper tubes, and then it won't bend the heck out of the back of your back. No, won't bend the back. Okay, I still envision a neck plate on this thing, although giving these things there, I may be able to use some sort of insert. I don't know, I haven't given that a ton of thought yet and haven't decided on how I want to do that. But right now I'm sort of still envisioning a neck plate on here with regular traditional screws that go through and bolt on the neck. So that's all really good. Okay, I think what we can do now is test fit the back and make sure the back is still fitting on here really well. There's a whole bunch to do right here. Obviously, I don't want a wood block in here that supports this thing. I want it all to just be out of copper, and I don't want a ton of it. So I've got some ideas on how we're going to bolt on the bridge and how we're going to do these string through holes. Actually, the string through holes are going to be pretty much exactly like this, but with smaller copper tubing. I may even do telescoping copper tubing that fits over the string ferrules on the back and then telescopes down into these sizes. I don't know, we'll see how ambitious I get with that. At any rate, it needs to have something to guide the string through so you can hit this little hole. Otherwise, you'll be there for a week trying to get the high E string in there and get it through the hole. It's like, it'd be hopeless. So there's a bunch of thought and a bunch of work to do right here. Right now, I just want to try and get the back fitting correctly and make sure I'm still all good. Everything's all dialed in and I'm happy. Okay, let's test fit the back. Okay, the back is still fitting in there really, really nicely. So that's going to solder together really, really well. I don't know, I'm kind of leaning towards a patina finish on this one instead of just polishing it and making it a super shiny bright copper. But I don't know yet. I guess I haven't given it a ton of thought. And then I got to get to work. I think I'm going to use this neck on it. So it's a hickory neck that I've made a long time ago. And it's a beautiful neck, like the wood in it's really pretty, especially when you get some finish and stuff on it. It really looks amazing. I made a whole bunch of them, actually. I've got about 5 of these blanks that are just like this. I don't know why some bucket had tapered the sides before they cut the slot for the truss rod. So that's going to present me a small challenge, but I'll get the truss rod slot in there and we'll get a fretboard on this thing, get a truss rod in it. And I think this is going to be the neck for it. And yeah, this is going to come together nicely. Okay, I think we can call that a wrap on this episode. I think all that was pretty straightforward. I don't have a lot of closing thoughts on this particular episode. What do you guys think? I think it's coming together nicely. I like that we fit a standard size fender heel in this body, nothing weird. So yeah, that was all pretty self-explanatory. Let me know what you guys think. Should we polish this thing? Should we patina it? What do we want to do here? I'm leaning towards patina. I don't know why. I just feel like I should probably patina this one. Okay, let's get out of here. Thanks guys for watching. Really appreciate it. It's awesome. See you next time.